The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Cali Sportsman, WDC, is now on your radio. Coming live from the Bay, yeah, that way. They talk sports all day, LA. Dropping knowledge, high school, college, trying to score, play by play. NFL, NBA, NHL, that's right, you name it. They gon' bring it to you live. Talking sports and entertainment from the famous and the, you name it. Cover all sports from the football field.
The views, comments, and opinions of the following.
Hey, there I go.
There you go. You first.
Yeah. See how things, are we on?
Yes.
Wow. Oh, it's on me? Can you pass it? Okay, there you go. Pass it to Mr. Second.
Oh, wow. I'll be number 2. Good evening. Welcome to Sports Collective TV. I'm your host and moderator. I'm Farron, a.k.a. WDC. I want to thank you for listening in. As always, we have a very spectacular, important show for you right here on Morris Media Live, Mondays at 5 o'clock. Make sure you check out our social media at Sports Collective Media on Facebook and Instagram. And, I mean, there's no way around it, having this conversation from what happened yesterday morning, the loss of a huge person in our community, family man. I don't know, man. I was in church, actually, when the conversation started. And the first thing that went to my mind was, like, I just hope his daughter wasn't with him. Because I knew they had been traveling the last few months together. And I was like, come on. Like, all right, Kobe, but this, the daughter. And then they came across that the daughter was with them. And so that for me was tough. And then it went from 5, and then it went to 9, and it was like, all right, man. So that's where I'm at right now. It's just like the shocker for the children. Maybe because I lost my dad, I can relate to the children from that aspect of it. But it's a tough loss for basketball across the board, national, international. I got some more to say, man. But what about you?
Yeah, I really don't want to say anything just because it's such a monumental moment in history of sports. And really looking at one of the finest players of basketball and one of the best characters of a human being, in a combination of just elevating culture, creating generations of an attitude to have a certain personality in whatever it is you do. I don't want to say anything. It's nothing you can really say. I think that we all here for a reason, a purpose. I think it was great when you look at Dear Basketball, and he kind of tells the story for what it really is. I mean, this was a kid who, that basketball meant everything. They said 83% time Kobe was hurt or injured. Could you imagine to have the accolades of that and to kind of have the mindset and mental strength and physicality to just be able to get through all of that and to be the guy he is. Yeah. And it's unfortunate, you know what I'm saying? We all make decisions, and how sometimes this could be a lesson learned for the communities around the world that, when these decisions are made in regards to you doing certain things, there's a repercussion, and, it's just an old saying for me, how I deal with things when it comes to death is that you kind of have to accept death in some kind of sense in order to kind of have life. So if you live in every day to go to heaven, then dying must not be so bad. So we all have our time. We don't know how we're going to go. And it's unfortunate that it was such a tragic situation for a lot of people that was involved. But that's the time we have on the clock. And we got to look forward to the great things that he's left behind in basketball. That could be an education not only to the NBA, but just the communities around.
And I agree with you totally. Like I said, for me, understanding that we as people have a relationship to death, and you really have to figure out what your relationship is to death and kind of work through that. And just goes back to your belief systems and things like that. So if you understand what your relationship to death is, then that'll enable you to start to heal from situations like this. and I agree with you on the second part of that, is if this guy was really that monumental to your life, as I've heard people say that he was like a father figure in these kind of conversations, then whatever that you saw in him, that quality, whatever those principles, I mean, the guy had some discipline that was phenomenal. And I think that's what really attracts us to athletes, is maybe not them personally, but the discipline that they have. And if you saw something in him that was a discipline that you connected to, be that discipline and then go find a youth and give it to that youth and share that experience that you learned from him that you're applying now to your life, and then go and teach that to another person. Go teach that to someone, that type of discipline that attracted to you. And I don't know what that is for people. I just know that, like you said, he played through pain. I mean, whatever those disciplines are, but whatever attracted to you to him, I just say figure out what that discipline was, apply it to your life now, and then go and share that with another person or with another youth.
So we didn't get Fredo calling in right now, but we're going to let you do your thing, man. So, LaRon, you can go ahead and take us to a quick commercial. We can bring your guests on. And as we go in commercial, this is going to be our moment of silence for Kobe Bryant and to him and his family and all the other ones that were actually on that tragic incident. So
9 bodies, man.
Sports Collective.
Sports Collective TV. I'm your host, moderator, Front, aka WDC. Again, thank you for listening in. Again, we just want to acknowledge the life of all the people that were on that helicopter this past weekend that lost their life, to those families. A lot of lives impacted. You got 9 bodies, and you figure each person knows about 1,000 people. So there's a lot of people impacted from that tragedy this weekend. So, Chasing Hoop Dreams is one of our segments here on Sports Collective TV. I happened to be out sick the day that Natalie was here. My man, Cali Sportsman, if you saw that interview, he held it down for me. But I brought her back because there was some more conversations that I wanted to find out about her and her Chasing Hoop Dreams story. So please reintroduce yourself to the listeners.
My name is Natalie Allered. I am 26 years old, and I play basketball, amongst other things, but basketball is one of my favorite sports.
So quick overview, you shared, your first love for basketball. Give us some of that, how that started.
I didn't start picking up a ball until, I played rec ball, but seriously, taking it very seriously, wasn't until maybe my 8th grade year. That's when I found out I got a jumper. I got a jumper, and from there, I took it very serious and didn't play until my sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
And then from there, played all the rest of my 3 years, and then first year in college, and then I had to, be an adult and get a job.
Oh, yeah, that happens.
Yes.
So what was going on between 8th grade and sophomore year? What was going on with?
I would definitely say family had a big influence on my life. My distraction was basketball and other sports as well, but definitely basketball. I found a travel ball team that I could play with, and my coach at that time really took me under his wing. My mom couldn't make it to all the games, or family members that I had couldn't make it, so I was always with my team and my teammates. So that right there took a big role in my life, and it actually, there's other outside family, friends that could turn into family, you're with your teammates all the time. Those are your sisters, or those are, your family. So from there, it's all about rebuilding and making that new connection.
So you grew up outside of East LA?
Yes, in a town called El Sereno.
El Sereno. So the flip side of basketball, why did you lean toward basketball? What was going on in that city that was?
There's a lot of gang violence around there. Just like, anywhere in the world, there's bad parts. And I lived in one of the bad parts of the community. All I grew up was just like, it was all around me. Yeah. And, my older siblings didn't take the direction that I took, but that gave me more of a life direction where I didn't want to go. Yeah. So sports, me finding something that I love doing, it was just so easy, passionate, and it helped me during school. You had able to play sports, you had to get good grades. Yeah. So
a lot of times people share that, the basketball players had a pass, right, in the community. Yes. Especially if you were surrounded by gangs and things like that, that they really let the basketball players pass. You as a female at the time, how was that for you with the other females?
It definitely was an advantage, I would say. But that didn't, I had to keep working hard for what I had to do. Not only just because of the place I grew up in, but also it was so easy to be influenced outside of sports. So it's like how Kobe, you had to, get that dedication. You had to push through all those obstacles that were in there.
So let's touch on that. You bring up Kobe, and obviously we started the show with that, and you have on his earlier jersey. So what do you take away from the life of Kobe Bryant?
There's so many things I want to say without getting emotional, but I'm going to just keep it short. Okay. But Kobe has been, my lifetime player since, I was born. So it was definitely a hit for me, but definitely his drive and consistency, no matter what. Through his injuries, like you said, 83%, that's a lot for his career. And definitely taking that Mamba mentality and pushing through all those obstacles that he faced. And then the comeback was even stronger. Yeah. So every downfall, your comeback needs to be twice as hard. So that's how I think about it when I think about Kobe. It's just like one little minor setback is for a greater comeback. So that's always going to be my
When mentality. You say Mamba mentality, so for you, what is that? Like, how do you apply that to your basketball skills or your mentorship or even reffing? Like, what is that for you?
Yeah, I ref a lot of youth. So yesterday, I was actually in a championship tournament, and I've never ever heard so much Kobe talk with younger kids, because it's all about LeBron and players like Kawhi, like players in the league now. And you get those players that, kids, I should say, that didn't grow up as, our older generation did. So with the Mamba mentality, with the youth, like, you always just gotta, keep his memory alive with the things that he put out there, which is, his dedication, his practices. And then from there, like, it doesn't hurt to show a footage or two or a highlight or two of his life, and not just what, after retirement. So with the kids yesterday, they were just, every shot was Kobe. You know how you just roll up a piece of paper and you just shoot it at the trash can? That was like every shot for them. So it's cool to see the kids remembering Kobe, but I also want to influence, like, the background, not just, what he brought to LA as a courtside basketball. Yeah.
So mental toughness, that's something that's important to me, definitely. So given your environment, given your family situation, growing up, where do you equate your mental toughness coming from?
I had a lot of people in my life that I didn't want to be like, and I was definitely the oddball in my family, because I don't really know anyone but my second cousins playing sports or taking sports seriously. So it was really an outlet for me not to go down that road. So I don't know, I don't want to sound cocky. It's just more confidence, but
yeah, that's great. It's a show.
I don't like to say that I'm a ball player, but I am an athlete. Like everything I touch, like I will pick up, I will learn quickly, and I'll play whatever role I need to in order for my team to either get a W or to work towards that championship or whatever we need to do. So I just love sports. I love basketball. It's basketball beauties.
Yeah,
It was a big breakout for me. It was a big breakout. Yeah, so. All
right, so I guess we got Fredo. Should be Fredo on the line. You can put those headphones on. Shout out to you live at Sports Collective.
Yo, what's up? What's going on, man?
What's up, Fredo?
Oh, Fredo, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you guys doing over there?
Man, everything's working out, man. Thanks for calling in.
No problem, man. No problem. It's a crazy day, not just in LA, but it's a crazy day for everyone, involved in sports, everyone that just, took part of this guy's amazing career and the things that he did on and off the court. Just, he touched a lot of people, especially in the last 4 years of his career, doing the transformation he did, and, working in the movie business, now coming into it and, being able to get an Oscar as well. But this incredible guy that we just lost yesterday, it's just hard to even think about it, to even know that it's
a reality.
Reality. It's not just a dream. It really just happened. So it's kind of weird still, going through almost 36 hours or so since happening. But I don't know, man. I don't know what you guys been thinking about this, but it's not something normal here for the city of LA.
I mean, you took off and you was downtown yesterday, man. How was that environment down there in person?
Yes, as soon as I heard about that, I was literally only about 10 minutes away from the accident because I work in Woodland Hills area. So it was only about 10 minutes away from Calabasas from the moment that it happened. As soon as I heard that, I left. I didn't know what to do. I was like, this is something crazy. This guy meant so much to me personally that, my oldest son is named after him, passing along everything that I kind of, learned from him and just everything what he meant to me personally. I, passing along that name to my son. Mm-hmm. So he carries his middle name and stuff. So it's just, to me, it was just something personal. I had to be there. The environment was just crazy. Everybody was I got a chance to talk to Danny Trejo. He's a longtime Laker fan. And just one thing that he mentioned was we just lost a hero. Literally, this guy was a hero to every individual, anybody, who was a Laker fan, Kobe fan, and, basketball fan overall. Yeah. And, hearing those words, and he was tear-eyed, he's coming from Danny Trejo himself, he was a little tear-eyed, and everybody else right there, and it's just a very hard moment, and, something I wouldn't expect it, to even be doing this, now, at age 41, still too freaking young, man, too young for something like this to happen like that. But the environment out there was kind of crazy. I didn't even want to leave. I was there at least 12 hours. I was there for 12 hours. Wow. The only reason I had to leave was because I had parking till 3 a.m. So I was going to get towed. I'm not trying to get towed out here, Right. But, honestly, it was so tough. I wanted to make my way down there again today. I was hoping to go down there tomorrow. But, the NBA did cancel the Lakers Clippers showdown tomorrow. So, I'm with that move, too. I respect that because it was honestly,
that's a lot.
It was just too quick. Yeah,
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
So what do you think, man, not to get too far in the future because, sometimes we get anxiety, but what do you think the future of the rest of the season is going to be like?
See that one more time? What
do you think the future of the rest of the season is going to be like?
Oh, wow. Well, I hope this kind of, it's a motivation that, you didn't want it to come in this way, in this manner. But if this is going to be somewhat of a push, something that, the players will be able to gravitate with and just, ride along the season and, make it a good one. It has been 10 years since the last one they won, which was, when the Lakers beat the Celtics in 7 games back in 2010. So, 10 years later, hopefully they can go ahead and add another trophy and maybe tie up the Celtics with 17 all time. So, but it seems like hopefully, hopefully some motivation like that comes out of this situation like that in a positive way.
Let me ask you, again, we talk about the discipline of Kobe Bryant that people are so attracted to. What is the discipline that you saw for yourself that had you this is one of my legends right here? What did you see from him?
Oh, man, just knowing every single part, everyone talking about that guy, talking about his work ethic. That's something that I mean, everyone has a different work ethic. Everyone, learns and works a different way. But this guy just seemed like there was no time that he just never learned. He just always continued to work hard and, train in the very most difficult times. And that it sucks that at the same time with this whole thing, like the daughter, Jesus,
Yeah.
like that's another major loss. Like it was just not.
That was his
one of them.
protege. Yep.
Yeah.
That was...
So that one was a really a heartbreaker to be able to end the whole situation. And I kind of remember her when she was born because I wasn't so happy about the situation because in the moment it's weird because when she was born in I believe she was born in May in 2006. The Lakers were in a championship, trying to get back on the top during the playoffs. He was traveling back and forth from Phoenix to LA between Games 6 and 7 of the first round of the playoffs when they lost after being up 3-1 against the Suns. And it was all because the daughter was born. He had to go in and out.
Yeah.
So I remember that difficult time. That moment was like, oh, come on, Kobe. But I mean that was the daughter right there throughout that series right there. That kind of the Lakers lost it, but. Yeah, man, that's a horrible loss having two of them. You yourself, you have daughters. And thinking about something like this, like it's just, I don't even want to think about the last moment that they had together.
Yeah, that was in my mind too, man. I was in church, like, man, like, can you imagine, like, what they were doing? Like, he was probably like holding her or whatever. Like, your mind. Yeah. The brain is so powerful, man, that we make up all these things, but you just have no idea in those last moments of what that was like for all those families that are on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it must have been a difficult time. And right now, all I keep hearing is that, right now the NBA and the Lakers are working with Vanessa and trying to, put this whole situation in the way she wants to run it. Like she's in control. That's what they're saying, that she's going to be running funerals and make sure everything's under her, and under her checklist and stuff. So I mean, it's just fucking crazy.
Yeah, man, it's wild, and again, we have no idea when this can happen. So you gotta enjoy your life. You gotta be responsible. You gotta set the path, and it's all about that dash, man. And 41 years, he accomplished a lot in 41 years, and so we don't know when we're gonna die, man. We have no idea. Just it's living effectively, and that he did for sure. I mean, he touched a lot of lives. So and was still doing it, traveling with his daughter, and training and coaching and things like that, man. So the guy was a legend, man. No doubt about that.
No, yeah, his support towards the end of these past couple of years, his support towards the WNBA, really giving them that extra push and that extra because a lot of people, kind of giving up on the league. People are kind of, trying in the middle, and he's the one, still pushing to make sure that, this is a good lead for a lot of the females that play basketball, including yourself, Natalie. Like, that WNBA has become something that's, something must watch now.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, man. Fredo, thanks for your time, man. We appreciate you, man, and I'll definitely see you.
And no problem.
Go Niners.
There she goes.
We'll see how where's Aaron Rodgers at? I missed them. All right, guys. You guys have yourself a good one, right?
All right, man. Thanks, man.
All
right. So our man Fredo. Shouts out to Fredo for calling in. So we talked about your mental toughness. I got some songs definitely want to go over. So I asked you to give me a song that reminded me of your mom. And so you did a Lenny Kravitz song.
Yeah. She loved him like a lot. So, those early Sunday, Saturday mornings, cleaning time. Those were top 3 songs. Him or Mary J. But it was always him though. And honestly, like growing up, getting familiar with his music, it really did grab me too as well. Yeah. And his style of creativeness is very unique. It's very unique. So
what do you want to say about your mom as far as your basketball career?
I mean, it was tough. We're trying to rebuild our relationship right now. But growing up, it was definitely some toughness. She was a single parent for 4 kids. And, as a child, I didn't see it as I do now.
Right.
So I didn't see how hard it was for her. I just saw, she's being selfish, But, you grow older, you see the bigger picture. And yeah, we're trying to rebuild our relationship right now. So
Childhood. You said oldies.
Oldies.
Art the Bow. So
Art
you
LeBeau
was sitting by the radio.
Yes, those dedications.
You called in? Did you call in for a dedication?
No, I was too young. But yeah. Well, my brother he went to juvie at a very young age. So anytime he said to make a dedication, he's always listening. Mm-hmm. So that was always a push for me to listen. But growing up, I had friends' parents at the park that would listen to oldies too. It would just be nothing but, good times and good music when we're all together, like for banquets or just, parties that they'll have for the kids and, invite the team. Yeah. So that was always top choice of music. So that's what reminded me of being around there. Yeah.
And as for a difficult time, and you picked Kirk Franklin. Which is a very spiritual artist. So give us some background on what you hear when you hear Kirk Franklin music.
Gospel is always the way to go to uplift, You always want to search for what you believe in, For me, it's God. And that song that I chose from Kirk Franklin, Melodies from Heaven, like that is just the way it starts off. Like you may have a bad day or whatever, but I always like to bump it in my car. So it starts off really slow, and then you get in a groove. You get in a groove, and then you just want to scream with him.
Make you want to stomp.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
All right. So and then in your headphones when you're getting ready for a basketball game, pick Young Ma.
Yes, Young M.A.
Yeah, Young M.A.
It's all right. It's okay. I chose Petty Wap. The lyrics that she says in there, like I like her little jabs, she is a female rap artist, and females all over the world, just like in basketball for Basketball Beauties or, in our Women's Drew League that just started, females always they're underrated, and we got to take control that, we are the most powerful in the house, men, you can't live without us. But going back.
That's another conversation.
But going back to her music, just the beat is very, just fast paced, and it just makes you hungry, for me at least, when I'm warming up to get ready for a game.
Looking back for your initial chasing hoop dreams, like 8th grade, playing high school ball, like what was the dream from the 8th grade standpoint?
Honestly, I didn't think I was going to make it to college, playing ball at least. Me being the ability to have the skill level to make it at that level, college level, was a blessing for me. I was the first one in my family to go to college. So that right there was a stepping stone. Mm-hmm. First one to play for a college team, that was a stepping stone. So I definitely absorbed all that. But I didn't think it was going to go further than that. It was more so because the way I grew up, I knew basketball wasn't, I just knew that there was more for me. But basketball was definitely going to keep me on the right path of, of my life and pursuing that.
What was the transition from high school to college? Did you have offer letters or did you walk on?
No, I had to try out. Yeah. I had to try out. Same way, I got offer letters to play softball instead of basketball.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So you play softball?
I played softball my 4 years. Made varsity my freshman year. Took a senior spot. Shout out to Jen. We're still friends. But yeah, I played baseball all my life. So baseball was actually my first love, and then it was basketball.
Interesting. Yeah, so baseball and then basketball, but you played baseball, softball through high school.
High school, I didn't want to try out for my college team because I wanted to play basketball. I was like, let me just give this a try.
How did you pick? What was your determining factors of?
It was more so I went with my heart. I went with what I wanted. If I didn't make the team, it wasn't going to break me, but also the fact that I did make the team is just okay, I got what it takes to, play at this level. And I I just went at it for the whole season, and I love playing off season too with basketball BDs. But I knew it wasn't going to be something that was playing overseas, or I'm not tall enough to make it to the.
But today, softball is popular.
Yeah.
For
women
athletes.
Mm-hmm. Women athletes. There's definitely all types of crazy competition when it comes to softball. And so it's just when we're talking about the WNBA, with softball players, I feel like they deserve that type of professional level as well. And I hope one day,
What did you do with all those softball skills? You just put them on the shelf?
Yeah, they're sitting there. But I play adult leagues. But
so you still playing?
I still play.
Oh,
but
all right.
I play more basketball adult leagues more than I do softball. But I'm a natural. It doesn't leave me. It doesn't leave me.
So today, what's Chasing Hoop Dreams mean to you today?
Well, I'm a referee. So I do a lot of youth and stuff like that. So definitely giving back to my community with that. I've also coached before, but refereeing, you see basketball on a different type of level. Mm-hmm. You're seeing not just as a coach's perspective, not just as a player's perspective, an audience perspective. You're seeing the whole thing. So with that, Chasing Hoop Dreams, anyone that's younger or that I play with, I definitely want to give my 2 cents, because when you're refereeing, you learn every single game that you are on the court.
Right.
It's not just, oh, let me get certified this year, let me read the books for this year, and I got it. No, there's something that I learned today, this morning, and just definitely giving back.
How do you keep yourself from, when you see the athletes playing, how do you keep yourself from interjecting?
Ooh. That's always a tough one. That's always you definitely have to get thick skin. Yeah. And it builds with the the games and the certain levels, because I've also done the Venice ball courts with the grown ass men.
Yeah.
They're the worst.
They're worse than the kids, huh?
They're the worst. They cry for every little thing, and it's just you playing with that much talent and that much height and that enough toughness.
But they want the call.
Yes, they want the call. Yeah. And I get it, we're human as referees, and we do miss things, or there's just, certain plays that happen too fast, or we're going to miss a call or two.
Yeah.
But you have to have thick skin. And as a female referee, and as little as I am, they will pick on you.
Oh, yeah, of course.
They will pick.
I imagine.
Yeah. And, with the parents too, you just got to learn how to shut that out. Shut it out. But learn a line of respect.
Yeah.
It's always respect of the game, respect your players, respect your coaches. Just, you just got to learn your respect and where you draw the line. And when you give that first warning, they're not going to mess with you again.
And lastly, we talked about your dad, and you was going to come up with a song. So I wanted to find out.
I didn't.
You didn't come up with a song for your dad.
I didn't.
So
but
I get that whatever's going on. Of my friend Caldwell, he mentions that a father and a daughter's relationship is hardwired.
Yeah.
And so, what do you want to say about that relationship with hip hop story?
I have nothing bad to say. I met him almost 7 years ago, and we're trying to build right now with our relationship, and I definitely agree. A father is definitely important in a daughter's life. I just kind of blocked all that stuff with sports.
Yeah.
So everything that seems to be like a setback to me, I don't see it like that. I see it to whatever happened in my past between my parents or between my family is definitely built me to the character and woman I am today.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be there if it wasn't for those situations. So.
I like it when I talked to my parents at 40, and I was like, okay, so what happened? And I talked to my dad, and he gave me his story. And I asked my mom, what happened? And she gave me her story. I'm like, these stories don't match.
That's exactly what I'm going through right now.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I got 2 stories, so now I can't believe either one of y'all.
Yeah.
Because now I just don't know what's the truth.
Right, yeah.
Right. And so from that perspective, what I did was I looked back at my parents, 1970. They were 19 and 20. They didn't know anything about having a child back then. And so when you look at your parents and you see how old they were when you were born, it was like they really probably didn't have no knowledge about life anyway, so then I couldn't be mad at them.
Right.
They had their own versions of the stories that happened, and it was like, you know what, I love them both. And I forgave them both because, we were separated too, and it was like, you know what, they were kids. So it's like, I can't be mad at that. Because you look at the 17 to 24-year-old today, and talk about life.
They're gonna look at you like,
so
what?
It's like, what? So once you kind of peel off some of that and you realize the facts and the reality of it, it's like, wow. Mm-hmm. Let me find out, what was you, Dad, what were you dealing with?
Yeah.
And then Mom, what were you dealing with? Mm-hmm. And then it was like, man, you can't hold that against them after that.
Lot.
So.
Yeah, and especially if you're with one parent more than the other, you're definitely gonna, look at the parent that you're with the whole entire time because that was your life for a certain period of time. Of
course.
So.
Well, thank you for coming back. I really appreciate you for coming back and sharing.
Yes.
Again, if anything you want to say before you get out of here?
No. Shout out to Drew League and Basketball Beauties. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the incredible people that I have on my team today. So I just want to say a big thank you.
Are you starting back again? Or?
Yeah, season 5's coming up, or 6, I'm not sure. It's coming up in summer, so I'm excited for that. It's going to be big. Jude and Cookie are working up something really big for beauties. Cool
deal. Again, thanks for your time.
Oh,
all right, we're going to take a quick break because I have my next guest coming up here. This is a community outreach brought to you by WDC. I have a guest, Vanessa, who's going to share her, I'm an advocate for sickle cell trait, sickle cell, so she's going to share her story around her experience with sickle cell. So be right back. Shout us out. What's the count?
Hi, my name is Marlene, and I'm 71 years old. I know I don't look it, and that's because I go to Regina at WJ Wellness. And what I really love about her is the way she takes care of my skin. Regina has a variety of facials, and I think I have tried every last one.
I'm located at WJ Med Spa in Culver City, California.
And I must say, Regina is the best esthetician in town.
Also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at WJ Med Spa. Please come in and visit us and come in for a complimentary consultation. Again, your skin is your beauty. Hope to see you soon.
All right, welcome back to Sports Legends TV. I'm your moderator, Fron, aka WDC. Again, thanks for listening in. We paid our tributes to Kobe Bryant and the family members, his daughter, and the other families that were on that helicopter. Again, just keep those family members in prayer. It's tough. Shouts out to Fredo for calling in as well. Shouts out to Natalie, who just got done with her interview. And so up next, this is brought to you by WDC Radio. We advocate for sickle cell trait. So for the community piece right now, if you have information, you want questions, or you have questions about sickle cell trait, go to WDCONSCT.org, or you can hit me up on the Instagram is at WDC Radio. All right, so for this community piece here, I was introduced to Vanessa from a friend of mine. We have a mutual friend, Tina D. Lewis. And so I got this text message and reached out to you. Yes. And so please introduce yourself.
Hi.
We can scoot up a little bit so you can. Yeah, bring that up a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
My name is Vanessa Davis, and I was born with sickle cell disease, sickle cell anemia.
Okay.
And
that's it. Don't go no further than that. We're gonna keep it right there. I'm gonna guide you. So, Lauren, I have a couple image that I sent you for the sickle cell. If you could put those up. Yeah, give me one of those. So this is a graph for sickle cell trait. So real quick, if both parents have sickle cell trait, there's a 50% chance that your child will have, if you see the AA, so let's start over. 50% chance your child will have sickle cell trait, which is the AS and AS in the middle. there's a 25% chance that your child will have normal hemoglobins, the AA, or 25% chance that your child will be born with sickle cell disease or anemia. And so that starts over with each pregnancy. It does not skip generations. That's with each pregnancy that these numbers can happen. That's me in the middle. I have sickle cell trait. My dad was a trait carrier. My mom didn't have any inherited genes, so I was born with sickle cell trait AS. There's a lot of conversations going on with that conversation with sickle cell trait. Student athletes have collapsed, military collapsed from sickle cell trait exertion. That's what I experienced. It was the end of my career from that trait experience with rhabdomyolysis. So I had no idea that I had the trait until age 29. And then at 36, I collapsed. I do have a cousin with sickle cell disease or anemia. He has SS. So I kind of knew a little bit growing up. Yeah. But that was about it. So did your parents know that they were trait carriers?
Both of my parents knew. And ironically, my sister and I are on the two different sides. So I came out with SS. I have an older sister. She came out with AA. So, we're on opposite sides. And as I was growing up, I didn't really know. They didn't really find out until I was 4 years old.
Okay.
I was found to have sickle cell, and they were told, oh, there's only a 7% chance of stroke. You'll probably have the symptoms and whatnot. Right. I was one of the 7%. So I had a stroke when I was 5, and I began going to the hospital every 3 weeks to get a blood transfusion.
Excuse me. How far back can you remember? 5? Like 5, how far back? So you can remember being 5 with living with sickle cell?
I can remember being 5. I can remember bits and pieces of that specific event. Okay. It was around school time, so we were searching for uniforms. Okay. I went to private school when I was through elementary school. So we were searching for uniforms. And that day, I'm short. I'm 4'11". So I said...
At least she's admitting it. That's what I'm talking about. Own that 4'11".
I sit on my feet. Yeah. I sit on my legs, to elevate myself and everything like that. So that was a normal occurrence. But that day, my my right leg would not wake up. Oh, wow. It would sleep. It would not wake up. And we went through the uniform shop and everything like that. And when we got home, there was still nothing. We took a nap. And when I woke up, I was full stroke.
Yeah, wow.
So my mom is a nurse. Okay. My mom is a registered nurse. So she took us to her place of employment, and they took care of me.
The recovery from having a stroke, what do you want to say? If you can remember.
I don't really remember much about that. It's weird. I remember bits and pieces.
But looking back on it as an adult, can you... Is that...
No.
Nothing? Okay.
No. Well, bits and pieces, like I said. I remember being paralyzed, my right leg being paralyzed. I remember when I was in the hospital, I had to learn how to write with my left hand because about maybe a month after I left intensive care, because I spent a good amount of time in intensive care. So after I left intensive care, my right arm was paralyzed. I just woke up and it was paralyzed. So I had to learn how to do things with my left hand. So I'm actually ambidextrous now. But, that sort of impacted my life in the fact of schooling.
Yeah,
you know,
so that's going to go. So the transition into schooling, how did that?
It was hard. It was really, really hard just because it was the 1980s and people really didn't understand, especially in the in my surroundings where I was. It was not predominantly Black. It was not predominantly Hispanic. So people really didn't know about sickle cell anemia.
Yeah.
People didn't really know about sickle cell trait or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I was ostracized, I would say, at an early age in school.
How did you deal with that?
Teachers. I went to 2 different schools. For kindergarten and first grade, I went to one school. My first grade teacher was not understanding at all, so we went to a different. My sister and I transferred to a different school. They were more understanding. Yeah. But children.
Oh yeah, we're hard on our peers. Our peers are hard on us.
When they get that notion in their head, it was hard. It was hard.
What are some of the myths and stigmas that you would like to see disappeared?
Well, some of the myths are that sickle cell is contagious. That is totally untrue.
Yeah, inherited.
It's inherited. It's not contagious. You can't get sickle cell by touching somebody with sickle cell. And that was the big thing for me, is that I had a lot of ignorance about that. Yeah. That they could just touch me and get it.
You said you started having blood transfusions.
Yes.
So was that how you managed your sickle cell growing up?
Yes. I went to the hospital for 16 years. So from the time that I was 5 until the time that I was 21 years old, I went to the hospital every 3 weeks and I got blood transfusions. And that's the way they managed my disease.
How did those transfusions affect your organs? Because sometimes iron overload and things like that. So did you deal with?
They had me on a medicine called Desferal.
Okay.
So the Desferal would extract the iron from my blood, and it would come out in, different ways. Yeah. But they had me on a specific medicine because I had a stroke. They had me on anti-stroke medication. They had me on penicillin for infections. They had me on vitamin E, which is really good for building the cells so that they can be strengthened. Okay. They had me on folic acid.
Oh, folic acid.
So,
yes. So they figured out what worked for you.
Yes.
And
yes.
No triggers? Did you still have crises in between the blood transfusions? I mean,
not really that I can remember. Okay. I do remember when I was about 13 or 14 years old, I had another seizure.
Okay.
So they increased my medicine. I remember that before I was on this one medicine called Tegretol, they had me on Mycilin and they had me on, it was, I can't remember the first name. Okay. I can't remember the first medicine they had me on, but it didn't work. Then they had me on Mycilin, and Mycilin, it worked, but it caused me to be hyperactive. Okay. And that was not good because my mother it wasn't a bad thing.
Right.
But it was that my mother would tell me, later on in life, she would tell me, you look so tired all the time. Yeah. But you couldn't stop. Yeah. You couldn't stop going. And so they changed my medication again.
So fast forward, we talk about you being cured.
Yes.
And so people, depending on your belief systems and your theology and your philosophy,
yes,
it's possible, especially if you believe in God and you say you believe in Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit and you got that for you. A lot of people looking for a cure.
Yeah.
And if you understand those Bible principles, then you know Jesus died for all of it on the cross. So how do you share that you were cured from sickle cell?
I just tell it. I mean, the thing is that, some people say cured, some people say healed. I believe that I was healed.
Thank you.
It wasn't by any means of my own. It wasn't by any means of the doctors. It was the Lord. I totally attest that to God, because if you had seen my life up until that point, can I say my age?
Yeah.
I'm 41, so I'll be 42 in May, and I haven't been to the hospital in 21 years. So, if you saw my life up until that point, and even beyond that point, because there was a time after my healing that I was not accepting. I would say, "Oh, I'm not going to go to the hospital," and that was the time that I had the crises. That was the time where I had the pain, where I had the nausea, where I had those symptoms, and I was told, if you don't accept this, you're going to die.
How did that go down? Did you go to church one day and the pastor was like, "Hey, this is what it is," prayed over you and you believed it? Or how did that for you?
My sister was, she went to church with a prophetess, and she introduced me to her because we were friends. We were all friends. And she told me that the Lord told her that he was going to heal me. And, when people say that, even in the Christian community, it's really hard for people to believe that, okay, well, what the Lord did in Bible times,
right,
he does today.
Exactly.
But, the Lord is
same.
He's the same, back then in 1981, 1983, up until 2020, he's the same. He's healed then, he'll heal again. So once we get past that, once Christians get past that, it's easier to accept. But I didn't accept it. And I said, okay, well, I'll stop going to the hospital. Yeah. That was the thing. I'll stop going to the hospital and see what happens. And I stopped going to the hospital, and I got sicker and sicker and weaker and weaker. And I ended up getting pneumonia. And I was in the hospital for a good month and a half with pneumonia. And I told them, don't treat the sickle cell, just treat the pneumonia. I'm healed. I kept proclaiming it. I'm healed. I'm healed. I'm healed. I didn't believe it. And then the prophetess came to me and she said, if you don't accept this, you're going to die. You're going to die. Yeah. And that, I said, you know what? I've always, back then, I didn't think that I was going to make it to 20.
Right.
Let alone 21, let alone 41.
Right.
So, when she said, you're going to die, I said, okay, I don't want to die. So I began to accept it. And I told my doctor, I'm not going to go to the hospital anymore. And she told me, well, if you don't come to me, then you're going to die.
Right.
I said, well, if I do come to you, I'm going to die anyway. Right. So that was a hard time between my parents and I. My sister totally had my back. My mother, registered nurse. My father, respiratory therapist. So
let me get LaRon. Can you pull that picture up with sickle cell? This right there. So just so people understand, those are your normal red blood cells. On my left, you can see they flow. A person with sickle cell, imagine at any given time, 60-70% of those red blood cells are mutated, and they get stuck in the blood vessels. And wherever they mutate, that means there's no oxygen going to the body. And that happens wherever blood flows, brain, lungs, organs, limbs. And so when you share this testimony, what are people's reaction?
Some people don't believe me. Some people believe me because I said it. And some people are like, okay, I can see that. I can see that.
I mean, you said something earlier that's very important, because when I advocate for sickle cell, when I'm with the sickle cell community, you know, a lot of people are looking for the cure, right? And I like submit with her, Natalie, if you go so far in the future of uncertainty, it creates anxiety, right? And then so my conversation is quality of life versus cure. It's fine to want them to support them to finding a cure.
Yes.
But what is your quality of life today? And that's the impact of how your life is going to be right now.
Yes.
So you could live far in the future and pray and look for a cure, and then your life be in disarray. Yes. Or you can enjoy your quality of life and take care of yourself and be healthy, and then let them figure out what the cure is. So,
well, my quality of life is great right now.
Yeah.
I mean, for that little window of time, it wasn't so great. Yeah. Like my body was getting used to not going to the hospital. So I had to look at my hands and say, oh my gosh, well, they're not as pink as they should be, or something like that. But as far as me having any pain,
so you don't have any pain anymore?
I don't have any pain anymore.
Do you still manage it with medications or folic acid, or?
I don't take any medicines. I take vitamins.
So take vitamins and
I take vitamins.
And so if you did a electrophoresis, you would still come up with sickle cell?
Yes, it would still come up with sickle cell. I've had my doctors say, "Oh, well, your blood is like sickling. Do you think you want to come in, or have you ever been treated for sickle cell?" I said, all you have to do is look at my file. I've got like 16 years worth of files. No, but I had every doctor. I had an optometrist because I have really bad vision. Yeah. I had a heart doctor. I had a cardiologist. I had a neurologist. I had a hematologist. I had every doctor for every organ that I during that time. So I have tons of records that you can look into.
What do you want to say to our sickle cell community about, what do you want people to know about sickle cell?
It comes in different forms.
Yeah.
I know that when in the 1980s, because I had my stroke in 1983, at that time, people didn't really look at me as a sickle cell patient because I went to the hospital, because I got blood transfusions, because I didn't have the pain. But sickle cell disease, sickle cell trait is treated in many different forms. And just if someone has sickle cell trait, someone has sickle cell anemia, just look at them and welcome them in. That's my thing, is be welcoming, because it's such a small, it's small to me, based upon the population of not only the United States, but the world. Yeah. It's small. So just be aware of people who are different or experience their treatment differently.
Yeah, it's individual. It's definitely an individual disease. And as far as the trait, same way. Some people with sickle cell trait may not have complications, may not have pain. But when I meet them, number one symptom is fatigue. And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm always tired, though. Okay, well, see, now, you may not have pain, but there could be fatigue. So, again, it's an individual disease. Again, thank you for your time, for sharing your story. Is there a way people can reach you?
Yes.
Instagram?
Instagram is Miss Vanessa Nikai, Niki, all one word, MISS, VANESSA, NIKI. And that's about it. That's
All
the
right.
only social media
That's
I
fine.
use.
All right. Again, thanks for listening in. Again, we appreciate you. This is WDC Radio, aka Sports Collective TV. Catch us. Hey, this is the last show of the month, so catch us in February. Make sure you follow us on social media at Sports Collective Media. Shout us out. What's the count?
Cali Sportsman, WDC is now on your radio. Coming live from the Bay, yeah, that way. They talk sports all day, LA. Dropping knowledge, high school, college, trying to score.